Hi, geometry students. So we are going to continue our study of trigonometry today and pick up where we left off. We're still going to be using the same three trig functions we talked about last time: sine, cosine, and tangent, and the SOHCAHTOA acronym. But this time in our lesson, we're going to be using it to find the measurement of angles. So all the problems we did last time were finding the measurements of the lengths of sides of triangles, and today we're going to use the trig functions to find the measure of an angle in degrees. So I want to remind you, very important, before we start, you have to put your calculator into degree mode. So I'm going to hit the mode button in my calculator, which is just next to the second button. And I'm going to go down to the third row. It says radian, radian's highlighted, and I'm going to move my cursor over to the word degree and press enter so that that's highlighted. That's going to put me in degree mode, and my calculator is going to stay in degree mode until I either manually go back in there and change it back to radians, or until I clear the memory. But you will get the wrong answers for your problems if your calculator is computing in radian mode. It's kind of like the difference between inches and centimeters. It's just a different unit for degrees and radians measuring angles. Okay, so for number one, the directions say, use a calculator to find the measure of angle T to the nearest tenth. So here's angle T. It's kind of like my X is right here. It's inside the triangle. We're trying to find how many degrees that angle is. So the first step is just like it was last time. We're going to label the sides. This time we're not going to have variables on any of the sides. They're both going to be numbers. You'll be given two sides, and they'll both have numbers on them. So I'm looking at this side. If I put my finger on my angle, this is the side my finger doesn't touch. So this is the opposite side. And the one with the 34 is the side that is touching my angle but is not the hypotenuse. So that's called the adjacent side. So which trig function uses the O and the A? From SOHCAHTOA. OA, that's the tangent. So I'm going to say the tangent of our angle X we're trying to find is equal to the opposite side, which is 14 square root of 3, divided by the adjacent side, 34. So the order matters here. The O goes before the A, so the opposite goes on top of the adjacent. And so that's how we set it up. Now to get the X by itself, or to get the angle by itself, we have to get the tangent off of it. Tangent is not a number, it's a mathematical operation. So we have to undo tangent, and what undoes a tangent? Well, there's an operation called an inverse tangent, and it looks like this, a tangent with a -1 on it. So you put that in front of the tangent, and it will cancel the tangent out. It's kind of like squaring a square root. Now, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side of the equation also. So this inverse tangent and this tangent will cancel each other out, and we'll find our angle by doing the inverse tangent of this fraction. So in my calculator, I'm going to go inverse tangent. You have to hit the second button, and then you press the tangent button, because just above the tangent button, it says tangent with a -1. So when you do second and then the tangent button, the tangent with the -1 appears on the screen. Now I'm going to go alpha y equals number 1 for my fraction function. And I'm going to go 14 square root of 3 on top and 34 on the bottom. And then I'm going to close my parentheses and press enter. And that gives me, it said to round to the 10th, so I just want one number after my decimal, 35.5. So X is 35.5 degrees. And we're going to put degrees symbol on this answer because it is measured in the units of degrees. Okay, so now we're just going to follow that same kind of process for the remaining problems. Number 2, we're still trying to find the measure of angle T. So my x is the angle in degrees right here. The side that is opposite from my T is the 7. And then the side with the 18 is the one across from the 90-degree angle, so that's my hypotenuse, the longest side of the triangle. So I'm going to write my equation. I have to figure out which trig function am I using with the O and the H, opposite and hypotenuse. That's the sine. So I'm going to go sine of x, because I don't know my angle. The angle always goes after the trig function, equals the opposite side, which is 7, over the hypotenuse, which is 18. And now to get the x by itself, I have to get rid of the sine by doing the inverse sine on both sides. Because whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And the inverse sine cancels out the sine. So now to get the answer, I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to press the second button, and then I'm going to press the sine button, because just above the sine, it says inverse sine. That's going to give me the sine with the -1. And now I'm going to type 7 divided by 18 in the parentheses. And then press enter, and here's my answer. 22 point, that's going to round to 9, 22.9 degrees. Okay. Next, number 3. I'm trying to find the measure of angle T. So here's my x. That's where I'm trying to find my missing angle. The side with the 34 on it is the adjacent side because it touches this angle but is not the longest side. It's not the hypotenuse. And the side with the 87 is the one across from the 90, and it is the longest side, so this one is the hypotenuse. Now, which trig function, sine, cosine, or tangent from SOHCAHTOA, TOA, uses the a and the h? The a and the h is with the cosine. So I'm going to say cosine of x, my missing angle, equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So 34 over 87. And now guess what I have to do to get rid of the cosine and to get the x by itself? Inverse cosine to both sides. So the inverse cosine cancels out the cosine. They undo each other because they're inverse operations. And now I'm going to press second and then the cosine button, because just above cosine, it says cosine with a -1. And then I'm going to go 34 divided by 87, close parentheses. And that gives me 60, well, round to the 10th, but that 9 is going to round that up to a 0, which will round that 6 up to a 7. So 67.0 degrees. All right, number 4. We've done one sine, one cosine, and one tangent. Well, one inverse sine, one inverse cosine, and one inverse tangent problem here. So I would recommend that you press pause on your video and try number 4 on your own, and then play it again to see if you got it right. Okay, so we're trying to find angle T, so this is my x. The side with the 32 on it is the adjacent side, because this is the one that touches that angle that is not the longest side, and it is not across from the 90. And the 101 is the longest side across from the 90, so that's your hypotenuse. Which trig function uses the a and the h? That's the cosine. Cosine is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So I'm going to put cosine of x equals the adjacent side, which is 32, over the hypotenuse, which is 101. And now I'm going to do the inverse cosine to both sides to get the x alone. And now I'm going to go to my calculator and press second cosine button for inverse cosine. 32 divided by 101. And that gives me 71.5 degrees. All right. Number 5. This one says use a calculator to find the measure of angle B to the nearest tenth. Well, it's kind of weird because on this first problem, number 5, they put the x in the angle A. So the directions are not good. So let's find the one with the x here, and we'll find angle B here. No, actually, yeah. Let's do that. Find the measure of angle B. Let's just find the measure of angle B on both of these and pretend like that x is not here. Let's just follow the directions it says up here. Sorry for the ambiguity. So for finding the measure of angle B, then first we want to label the sides. If this is my missing angle, then the side that is opposite from it is the opposite side, the one that if I put my finger on angle B that my finger's not touching. And then the one with the 19 is the adjacent side because it does touch the angle and it's not the hypotenuse, the longest side. So which trig function uses the O and the A? That would be tangent, TOA. So we're going to go tangent of x equals the opposite side over the adjacent side, so 22 over 19. Now to get the x by itself, I'm going to go inverse tangent of the tangent of x equals inverse tangent of 22 over 19. I'm just taking the inverse tangent on both sides. So that inverse tangent cancels out the tangent, and I'm going to go to my calculator and press second tangent, and then do 22 divided by 19. So that's 49.2 degrees. Now let's say we did want to find this other angle. Remember that all three angles in a triangle add up to 180? So if I go 180 minus the 90-degree angle that I started with here, I have 90 left for these two. And if I go 90 minus 49.2, that means my angle A is 40.8. So once you find one of the missing angles, it's very easy to find the other just by using the add up to 180, property of the triangle sum. Triangle interior angle sum. Okay, number 6. I recommend that you find angle B by pausing your video and doing this one on your own and then coming back to check it. All right, I'm going to assume you've done so. So if I put my finger on angle B, the side my finger's not touching is the one with the 14, so that's the opposite side. The one with the number 8 on it is the adjacent side because it is touching the angle B and it is not the longest side of the triangle. So which trig function uses the O and the A? That's the tangent, so TOA, OA. So I'm going to go tangent of, this is my x that I'm trying to find, equals the opposite side, which is 14, over the adjacent side, which is 8. And I'm going to do the inverse tangent to both sides to get the x all by itself. So I'm going to go to my calculator and type second tangent 14 divided by 8, and that gives me 60.3. X equals 60.3 degrees. All right, now you know how to use the trigonometry functions sine, cosine, and tangent to calculate the measures of a missing angle on a right triangle. So I hope that your homework goes well, and if you have any questions or you need help, please reach out to me and let me know. Have a great day. Bye for now.